Alright, what's up everyone? OJ here. Welcome back to another video. Today we've got a lot of big news across the RPG, Nintendo Switch front, and more. But before we get into that, please make sure you hit that like button. Subscribe if you're someone new and click that notification bell to get my videos first. Now we're starting out with something that I actually called with the leak right before it happened, or at least the day that it happened. If you watched my previous video, we talked about the Twitter account, the Snitch, who essentially leaked Final Fantasy VII Crisis Core, or more like Crisis Core Final Fantasy VII, coming back to modern systems on Xbox, PlayStation, Nintendo Switch, and Steam. And that's exactly what we're starting out with after the Final Fantasy celebration that went down recently. A short but sweet 20 minutes, which you can watch the replay on my channel if you missed my reaction to it. So let's go ahead and get into it. Crisis Core Final Fantasy VII Reunion announced for the PlayStation 5, Xbox Series, PlayStation 4, Xbox One, Nintendo Switch, and PC. This is a remaster of the PlayStation Portable title starring Zack Fair, due out this winter. So Square Enix has announced this game, and people are calling it a remake, but it's actually a true remaster, and that is Square Enix's words. So I don't want any arguments, guys. I'm not here to argue the definition of it. They are calling it a true remaster of the game. So Crisis Core Final Fantasy VII Reunion will have completely new 3D models, fully voiced characters, system optimizations, remade background and user interface graphics, user interface optimizations, various skip functionalities, and newly arranged background music. Now here's a little bit of an overview of this, because a lot of you guys might have missed out on this PlayStation Portable title back in the day, and Square Enix hasn't re-released it in any type of significant way. So this is going to be a new game for many of you guys out there, but I'm sure a lot of you guys have seen this character Zack from the Final Fantasy VII universe. Now here's a little bit of an overview. What is Crisis Core Final Fantasy VII Reunion? The new game is a full remaster of the PlayStation Portable exclusive Crisis Core Final Fantasy VII, which originally launched back in 2007. The game quickly won acclaim thanks to its innovative gameplay, likable characters, and impactful narrative that added even more detail and richness to the world of Final Fantasy VII. Now it's coming back in a new and improved form. Crisis Core Final Fantasy VII Reunion is a true remaster that follows the original's narrative, Zack Fair's mission to find the missing soldier Genesis Rhapsodus. It features multiple improvements from the original game. For example, the graphics have been converted to HD, with all the 3D models from the characters to everything else being fully refreshed. What's more, the dialogue is now fully voice acted, and there's new arrangements for the soundtrack. Longtime Final Fantasy VII fans will require no introduction to the inestimable Mr. Fair, but newer players may be wondering, who's this black-haired fellow and why is he holding such a familiar sword? Now they did go over the Japanese voice cast, you can check that out, link in the description below, and you guys are watching this announcement trailer that looks really good. It looks really good. I'm loving what they've done here. It's a really high quality remaster on Unreal Engine probably, and it is a faithful remaster to the original. It's going to go over the plot and stuff like that, so it's not really going to have too many changes story wise. I think it's going to be pretty much the same, so we can expect that to play out the way that it is. But I'm loving how they're doing this. Square Enix is really knocking it out of the park with this remaster of the game, and I'm very happy that finally, after more than a decade plus, right, we're going on almost 2 decades of this game, 15 plus years or so of this game, and finally they've done something with Crisis Core, because it is a really good game. Although it's a really weird game. Back when it came out, the PlayStation Portable didn't have dual analog, it only had a single analog, so you really couldn't play in a type of way that was great. I mean, that was the one thing that people really wanted. A lot of the early handheld games from like the DS and the PSP, they had that issue, the claw methods and stuff like that, so it was awkward, but people still played and loved it. So I've always wanted to see this game come back on modern platforms in some way, shape, or form, and what better way to get it done than on all the new platforms and the Nintendo Switch. Now, I did also want to just clarify this because it seems like people will never ever let go of what happened with the Kingdom Hearts games on the Nintendo Switch, instead of looking at all the different Final Fantasy games. Like every single Final Fantasy game, whether it's a port, it's a remaster, it's a remake, or even Dragon Quest, all of those are native and non-cloud versions, and there's like literally double digits of them, from Bravely Default 2 all the way to Final Fantasy 12, all the way to Dragon Quest, which is an actual built game for the Switch. But they'll never let go the cloud versions of Kingdom Hearts, even though we're not dealing with Kingdom Hearts here or a collection of games. We're just dealing with a singular game, which Square Enix has always made native versions for the Switch. But there seems to be a number of people who feel that developers somehow just like skip out talking about that, and it has to be confirmed. They have to come out and say that, even though that's not the case. But this game, Crisis Core Final Fantasy VII Reunion, is a native Switch version because they didn't already state that it was a cloud version. I actually went back and looked at all the cloud announcements for the Nintendo Switch, and yes, I know the puns, cloud, Final Fantasy, I get it. But you know, if you look at it, they always announce it as a cloud version of the game. They never not announce it as one and then later say, well, it's a cloud version of the game. It needs to be announced as that. That needs to be made clear, and that's happened every time that there has been a cloud announced game, or a game that is cloud on the Nintendo Switch. So I'm not sure why people think that this game, which by the way, I mean, graphically it doesn't look like anything super crazy, there shouldn't be any issue there. But I did check the website and I looked at everything, and if it was a cloud version, they would have had to say, hey, the Switch version is a cloud version of the game, and they did not. So don't need to worry on that one. But anyway, what do you guys think about Crisis Core Final Fantasy VII Reunion coming to all the different platforms here? I'm very excited about this game. I've been waiting for it for a long time, so this is pretty cool in my opinion. So let me know what you think in the comment section below. All right, and moving on to the next topic here, we have some more Final Fantasy VII action, and this time it's Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 2, but it's called Rebirth, and it's being announced for the PlayStation 5. So the second of the 3 titles in the Final Fantasy VII Remake project. So Square Enix has announced Final Fantasy VII Rebirth for the PlayStation 5. It is the second title in the Final Fantasy VII Remake project. It will launch in winter 2023. The company also confirmed that Final Fantasy VII Remake project will consist of 3 titles. The first title is Final Fantasy VII Remake, the second is Final Fantasy Rebirth, and the third and final title is to be announced. Now here's an overview of the game via Square Enix. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is the second story in the Final Fantasy VII Remake series, which tells the story of the iconic Final Fantasy game that redefined the RPG genre. In 3 distinct games, at launch, Final Fantasy VII Remake was celebrated by players and critics alike, selling over 5 million copies worldwide. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is slated to launch next winter for the PlayStation 5. Now you can check out a big, huge set of messages from Tetsuya Nomura and from the directors and from everybody there. They just talk about how this is great and what they're doing, and I'm pretty sure that they have a huge, you know, game and world and mythos and new stuff planned for this. And that's great, but I think that some of the controversy that came out of this was the fact that Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is going to be a PlayStation 5 exclusive. And if it's coming out next year, potentially as early as winter of next year, it could slip into 2024. Will there be enough PS5s for people to play this game? It's not coming to PC, at least not of right now, and it's not coming to Xbox. So it created a little bit of a mini controversy for Xbox fans saying, okay, well, where's the original Final Fantasy VII Remake? You guys said that it's a timed exclusive. It's now been a number of years, and we have not seen it at all. And now at this point, you announced the next one, and once again, PlayStation 5 only. I mean, limiting this game's reach. Also, if you look at the sales, right? 5 million copies. I thought it would have sold more than that by now, but either way, that's what people are saying right now with this. Now, I really have no issue with it because it is what it is. It was originally a PlayStation exclusive. Now it's moved over to PC, and I think it's Epic Game Store and stuff like that. They talked about Steam, but Xbox players were looking forward to potentially getting it on their system as well. That's just the nature of the beast. This is something that Sony really wants as an exclusive. This is something that they feel is worth paying whatever bag they're paying for it, to where Square Enix is very happy to keep it that way. I think that it looks pretty cool. They didn't really show combat or anything, but graphically it looks incredible, and I think that this is going to change a lot, because right there, you know, you have Sephiroth and also Cloud walking through. I think this is going to be a completely different type of thing. You know, I'm not a huge fan of splitting it up into 3 different games, but hey, we knew that it was going to be split up. So what do you guys think about all this information here? It was a lot to take in with Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Let me know in the comment section below. All right, and moving on to the next topic here, guys. It looks like we have another leak from the new Fire Emblem game. But once again, I want to preface this by saying, guys, this is a leak of a potential early build of the game / rumor. It is not confirmed. It is not 100%. It is not, okay, this is happening, but it does seem like these images that we've been talking about, because I did make a previous video on this, are correct. So this right here is apparently what you're seeing is a image leak of the new protagonist in the next Fire Emblem game, which kind of lines up with the information that Emily Rogers and other people have put out on the new Fire Emblem game. Now, in this image, you see a protagonist that has red and blue hair. Also, the eyes are alternating with red and blue as well, which intertwines with her outfit too. You can see the blue and the red cape and everything. And overall, I think that the design is pretty cool. But once again, this is a crusty, off-screen, probably old shot of this, and once we get it in our hands, it might be redesigned a little bit, it might be a bit different. Obviously, it's going to look a lot better, because I can already tell from what they're trying to do, from crusty screenshot to what we're actually going to see is probably going to be a lot better, because the rumors are saying that the graphics from people who have actually saw it have said, okay, they are definitely better. But I'm not really too worried. People are like really super analyzing crusty old screenshots and stuff like that. Those are just leaked because they've been apparently sitting on the game. But overall, I don't think that this is a bad protagonist. I'm positive that once we actually see the final design and everything with the game, which I'm guessing that Nintendo's going to announce the next Fire Emblem game either at this next upcoming Nintendo Direct that's supposedly coming by the end of the month of June, or maybe even July, who knows, but the next Nintendo Direct, or maybe even the fall Nintendo Direct that will be happening. I think that at one of those places, that could be like the one more thing type of game, because apparently they've been sitting on it, and now we're getting some leaks that are lining up with information that is out there. So I definitely feel that things are interesting. Things are getting very interesting for the Fire Emblem universe, and things are getting very interesting for players out there. Now, I do want to address just briefly this whole Fire Emblem Xenoblade controversy. I know it's kind of weird, and you know what? I'll probably do a whole separate video on this, but let me just say this right now for like a quick and dirty version of my video that I'll do later, which goes in depth into this. Fire Emblem and Xenoblade aren't taking away Punch-Out, or aren't taking away F-Zero, or any other games that some of you guys want. Those games have nothing to do with Intelligent Systems. They have nothing to do with Monolith Soft, okay? That's a subsidiary. Like, Monolith Soft is a company that came from the outside in. They have what they do. They help out with the big games like Splatoon and Animal Crossing, and also The Legend of Zelda, and they also do their own games, like a new IP that they're going to be doing, and also Xenoblade, because Xenoblade is selling well and doing well. Intelligent Systems, they have their thing that they do. They are not owned by Nintendo. They are a third-party company that has a very close relationship with Nintendo. They do not own the Fire Emblem IP. Nintendo owns it, but they are the ones that make the Fire Emblem, like, mainline games. Now, obviously, they have nothing to do completely with like developing of the Fire Emblem spin-off games, like the Fire Emblem Warriors. That's more Koei Tecmo, more so than anything, but Intelligent Systems does what they do. They do Paper Mario, they do Wario, and they do Fire Emblem, and obviously their cash cow, what makes them the most money as a business, is Fire Emblem. So they're not going to be taking 6 years off or 5 years off or however long off from making a Fire Emblem game in the rotation, because for the past 3 years they've made Fire Emblem in 2019, then they made Paper Mario in 2020, then they made WarioWare in 2021, and now they need to continue, or they've been continuing with Fire Emblem, because that's going to make them a lot of money, and they need to make sure that they pay the bills and they have money. So that's kind of how it works. They're not going to be assigned random video games that you want to be back, and it's not on them to do that. It's on Nintendo to find a team that would be best fit for these games that people want. Okay, it really is. So trying to, you know, blame or trying to point the finger at Intelligent Systems to give me what I want, or trying to point it at you know, Monolith Soft, is ridiculous. This is a ridiculous thing. So let the Fire Emblem fans eat. Let the Xenoblade fans eat, and I'll have a more in-depth video on it later. So bring on the new Fire Emblems, bring on the new Xenoblades, and Nintendo, get on making those new DKs, get on making those new Punch-Outs, or whatever the heck you guys want to do. But that doesn't mean that we don't get our Fire Emblems. So I think that this next game is going to be pretty good. So what do you guys think when it comes to this leak here, and of course a bit more? Let me know in the comment section below. All right, and moving on to the next topic here, guys. Nintendo 64, Nintendo Switch Online adds a fan favorite from the Pokemon spin-off collection here, and that is Pokemon Snap. So N64 Nintendo Switch Online will add Pokemon Snap on June 24th. Nintendo has announced Pokemon Snap first launched for the Nintendo 64 on March 21st, 1999. Now here's an overview of the game via the back of the game box. Back in the day, baby, those game boxes. Professor Oak needs your help. The professor has asked you to capture wild Pokemon on Pokemon Island. On Film Tour, the island is your 0-1 vehicle, and the snap pictures of Pokemon in their natural habitat. Wild Pokemon are often camera shy, so you'll have to use special items to bring them out in the open. Only the best shots will do for the professor's Pokemon report, so sharpen your photography skills and get ready to snap. Here are the key features. First ever N64 game to feature the world famous Pokemon fully rendered. Explore many environments of the Pokemon Island, like the sunny beach, the mysterious caves, and even the red hot volcano. Many different types of Pokemon inhabit the island. See how many you can catch on film. Print your photos as stickers at the Pokemon Snap stations. Can you still do that? Print them as stickers? When it comes down to it. But no, this is really cool. Obviously, Nintendo 64, Nintendo Switch Online, that has had some scrutiny over the release lineup and kind of what they're doing, but it seems like things are moving along quite nicely here as this game is coming next week. But what do you guys think about Pokemon Snap? I know I had some good memories back in the day playing it. I've kind of moved on from games like this, but Pokemon Snap is still a classic out there for the N64. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. All right, and moving on to the final topic here, guys. The Nintendo Switch has surpassed 25 million units sold in Japan, and we also have the top 5 software sales as well. So Switch surpassed that big 25 million. Goodness gracious, that's a lot of systems sold in Japan. This data is coming from the Famitsu. Now, obviously, this starts from March 3rd, 2017, but the specific number is 25,010,404 units. Now, the original Nintendo Switch model has been around for the longest, but when it comes to the breakdown of sales, here it is. Now, the regular Switch, 18,379,851 units. The Switch Lite has 4,754,257 units, and the Switch OLED has 1,876,296 units. Now, the Famitsu also shared the top 5 games. Here is the full breakdown. So at the bottom to the top, Splatoon 2 at 4,086,738 units. Number 4, Pokemon Sword and Shield at 4,345,336 units. Number 3, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe at 4,664,614 units. At number 2, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate at 4,895,873 units. And at number 1, Animal Crossing New Horizons at 7,621,929 units. And that does not include digital sales. That is just crazy. No other publisher or developer in Japan for the console market is even close with the sales numbers there. So Nintendo has an ironclad grip in Japan, and it just goes to show you, man, that hybrid really did the job for Nintendo, because these game sales and the system sales itself are out of this world. It's passed up a lot of Nintendo's best-selling systems already, like the Nintendo Wii, for example, like the Nintendo 3DS, and it's setting its eyes, bam, right there on the Nintendo DS. So this is definitely good for Nintendo going forward. So what are your thoughts on all the different topics that we discussed here? Let me know in the comment section below. All right, guys, that wraps it up for this video here. Thank you so much for watching. I do appreciate it. Please make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you're someone new, click that notification bell, and we will see you for the next video. Peace.